You watch me. Deuces!
Do you think for 1 second that jw.org is going to upload on their news section that a former elder has been arrested in Maine for CSA in the 90s? Do you really think that if I show my mom this article or this video of the news, the local news talking about this, that she's going to listen to it, watch it, and say, yeah, Ruby, there is a systemic issue. There is a problem. And I admit that there is a problem. No, that's not what's going to happen. Somebody like my mom is going to say that this is fake news, that these are apostate lies, and that I am spreading misinformation. Or she will go as far as to say that the man made governments or the local governments, that Satan is in control of these governments or these district attorneys or these judges are controlled by Satan. Okay, I'll take it down a notch and I will give the benefit of the doubt. And I would say, okay, if she doesn't say those very quick responses when they are given this type of information, what is something that she would probably say if I insist that those things are not the case and that she's reaching too far? That they love to say is that this is just one incident. This is just one brother, one elder who got away with it because they were hiding it. And even if I try to explain, but the other elders knew about it. They had the documentation of the abuse. They had the information since 1990s and it's 2024. So what took them so long to report this guy to the police? They never have an answer for that. There is no defending something like this. And Mark O'Donnell, if a Jehovah's Witness looks him up, they're going to be like, "Oh, this guy's an apostate." But look what he's doing with his time, with his energy. He doesn't have to be doing this, and he's doing it. Thankfully, we got somebody like a Mark O'Donnell doing that. Thankfully, we have other exjw YouTubers making videos and giving us this type of information that would otherwise be buried because jw.org is not going to report this kind of news, right? They're not. Let me play you the clip of the news, and then I'm going to read Mark O'Donnell's tweets.
A former elder at the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witness in Fort Kent will be serving a 20-year sentence for sexually assaulting 2 children at the church back in the 90s. News Center Maine's Pearl Small has the latest on the hearing that happened today in Aroostook County.
20 years. The maximum sentence that could have been handed down by a judge after Ernest Fyans was convicted in October of last year.
The impact on the victims is just so substantial in this case. Therefore, the court sets the maximum sentence or period of incarceration.
Fyans was an elder, which is one of the highest forms of leadership in a Jehovah's Witness church. And between 1990 and 1992, he sexually assaulted 2 minor girls under the age of 6.
And he committed these terrible crimes against these 2 women.
Mark O'Donnell is a journalist who's been reporting on sexual assault in Jehovah's Witness churches for 7 years.
The police were never called.
He says he found out about the case through stolen documents that were leaked in 2017.
They went into several congregations and removed documents. Ultimately, they got in touch with me and they sent me the original documents
that he then gave to the police and set forth proceedings for the case to be prosecuted.
And the jury found that the girls' statements were in harmony, that they were believable, and they found him guilty.
Fyans' attorney, Lynn Madison, says he was hoping for a lighter sentence.
He is not happy with the conviction. He's going to be filing for an appeal of the conviction. And he is also not happy with the sentencing, so there will be an appeal filed for the sentencing as well.
But no matter the outcome, O'Donnell says the ruling does more than just decide Fion's future, because it highlights a flaw in the system of the Jehovah's Church, which requires reports of misconduct to be done through their headquarters in New York.
And in 99% of the cases, they are told that you are under no obligation to report this to the authorities.
But when cases like this are uncovered, O'Donnell believes it opens up a path.
This conviction can help lead to additional, very serious civil court lawsuits against the Jehovah's Witness Church.
Providing more opportunities for justice.
All of a sudden, you realize that all these people come out of the woodwork.
Pearl Small, News Center, Maine.
So if you caught that in the news segment, he got these documents from the stolen papers that were sent to him from the Kingdom Halls. If you saw my other video that I did a reaction to the documentary that he was doing a couple years ago, he also says it there and he shows it to the journalist in his living room. I will include a card in this video so that you can click there, you can see it, or you could go to my channel, you can see that too. Because these are not just one-off incidents. These are people that have been hiding in the Kingdom Halls, and they know that they are pedophiles. They know who they are, and yet he was an elder for how long? He was accused of this in the 90s. It's super upsetting. Okay, I'm going to go to Twitter now, and I'm going to read Mark O'Donnell's tweets. This is how he broke the news. Superior Court Judge Stephen Nelson has just sentenced former Jehovah's Witness elder Ernest Fiennes to the max penalty for crimes of child sexual abuse of minors, 20 years for count 1 and 5 years for count 2. Defendant Fiennes invoked Jehovah in his plea to no avail. On September 20th, 2023, a jury in Aroostook County, Maine, found Ernie Fiennes guilty of both counts of child abuse. The state was able to prosecute, but hundreds of pages of documents locked inside Jehovah's Witness filing cabinets in several states reveal many more victims. These documents, sometimes referred to as the Palmer Leaks of Massachusetts, tells the story of countless JW perpetrators and crimes in the northeastern US, most of which are concealed from law enforcement officers, obstructing justice on the claim of clergy privilege. During today's sentencing hearing, victims described the impact of their assaults and rapes at the hands of defendant Fiennes, as well as additional members of the Fort Kent, Maine congregation, including elders and abusers. Defendant Fiennes was permitted to make a statement in his defense, but denied these events and crimes ever happened, and continued to blame one of his victims for making lying accusations against him, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Fiennes also acknowledged that he was sent to multiple congregations to help out, and then continued to blame the victims for being spiritually weak or inactive. In an obvious attempt to diminish the authority of the court, Fiennes stated that the real judge is Jehovah, and that Jehovah has been Ernie's judge for 50 years. Fiennes claimed that evidence of Jehovah's backing comes from his survival of 7 heart attacks and 2 strokes. Fiennes continued his rant, claiming that he's still alive because Jehovah, quote, because Jehovah wanted me to be here, despite threats he has received in prison to cut his throat. He further stated he would win his appeal, then will sue his last attorney for giving him his 7th heart attack. Fiennes resumed his tirade, claiming that the attorney he fired just minutes after his guilty verdict in September has mental problems and that he has early Alzheimer's disease and failed to properly defend him. At 10:25 a.m., Judge Nelson took a recess to decide on Fion's fate. When he returned, Nelson told the court that mitigating circumstances would not outweigh the aggravating occurrences of this case, and he promptly imposed the maximum sentence on Fions. I am very pleased to say that the documents uncovered from multiple congregations have led to the kind of justice that Jehovah's Witnesses have been obstructing for decades because of their harmful internal policies. The criminal prosecution of Fions is just the beginning for these brave survivors who may now seek justice in civil courts. Investigators continue to probe the other perpetrators of these crimes, and more victims continue to reach out. I cannot believe that this guy said all of that in court. But does that not show you how delusional these people are? Because they think that the highest authority is Jehovah, right? And that Jehovah uses his elders. So whatever the elders say, whatever the judgment the elders give you, that's the highest authority. Because we don't follow man-made rules, right? We don't follow the Supreme Court. We don't call the police. We do not take our brother to court. The court is the judicial committee, and whatever the elders say goes. Now this guy has to, now this guy faced a real judge and a real verdict, and he doesn't feel like that was right. He had hoped for a lesser sentence and then goes on to blame his victims. These people are delusional. They have never seen real justice. They have been coddled in this cult that allows them to hold a position, a title within the organization, and to help out other congregations, making them feel like they're doing something. Like, oh yeah, we need you. You're such a good brother. You've been an elder for so long, as if that means anything. In the real world, it means nothing. In the real world, you're just a pedophile who has gone unnoticed for decades. And now justice has been served. And he is right. Those threats that you get in prison for hurting little kids, those are one of the types of crimes that you will get beat up in prison. I have no doubt. It don't matter how old you are. Once they find out what you did, oh, you're going to get it. It makes me angry because this would have happened sooner when the accusations came, and he would have been arrested sooner. But Jehovah's Witnesses probably had his name on that database that they didn't want to give up. And there's a lot of other names on there. And it wasn't just him because he was the elder. Mark O'Donnell's tweet said that there were other abusers as well. So if you already have, a very high person in the congregation, like an elder, committing this abuse, that gives the signal for everybody else to do it too, because no consequences are gonna come to you. He probably protected other pedophiles too. I could only think about these things, like how many other people do you think that he knew was abusing probably the same kids or other kids in the hall, and they didn't do anything about it? Then I'm gonna call the police. But you see, I can't even show somebody like my mom this because they won't even believe it. The organization has has regular Jehovah's Witnesses so brainwashed that they won't even watch this kind of stuff. It's crazy. And I just found out about the whole Pennsylvania situation, and I'm gonna have to do a whole separate video for that one because that is a whole load of information. So stay tuned for the Pennsylvania video of more Jehovah's Witnesses getting arrested. I want to thank you for watching. Please share these types of videos amongst anybody who would watch it if they're Jehovah's Witnesses or ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that are in this state. I think it's really important that we should start having a list. I think avoidjw.org has a list as well. So I'm going to link it. I'm going to link the news article, and you could definitely follow Mark on Twitter. This is how breaking news comes out, and this is why I want to do it in this form, because more people need to watch this. You need to hear it. You need to see it, because jw.org is not going to put this on their news section. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Jehovah's witnesses.